In this lesson, we are going to create a game form that will let the user create a new game from their dashboard. So the very first thing that we are going to do is create a component here inside the components folder called game form. Now let's add the template here. So here I have added each and every form field that we will need in this tutorial. Let's start from the top. Here we have a button which will toggle the dialog. And we are not going to create a new view just to render the form. We will do that inside a dialog. And here is our dialog. And inside the dialog, we have a card with a form, and that form contains some fields. The first one is the game title. Next one is the game developer name and the publisher, game description, and finally the game image. And once the data is added, we are just going to call the store game method. And this store game is basically going to store the data submitted by the user into the cloud firestore. So here, let's add our script. So our data is ready, and we also need to import Firebase, auth storage, and not DB, but the games collection. Now here comes our store game method. And inside the method, what we are going to do is we are going to save the user uploaded image as well as store the other information regarding the game in the games collection. So let's start. Here you can see I'm using isLoading, which is a variable that we have declared inside the data. By default, it is false. And this is basically going to display a circle loader while we click on the button. When this is loading is set to true, only then the circle will be visible. So we want to create a loading experience for the user so that they can know that, yeah, this form is submitted and it's processing. Here you can see we have added 2 lines in order to upload the user uploaded file into the Firebase storage. The first line is the file reference, that is the path where the user uploaded file is going to be stored. And in the next line, we have some chain methods, reference and put. The ref method, inside that we are going to pass the file reference that we have created here. And in the put method, we are going to pass the user uploaded file. Now the next thing that we are going to do is create a data object that we are going to store into the firestore. The very first thing inside the data object is going to be the user ID. Each game will be uploaded by a specific user, and in order to store that information, we need to store the user ID as well. Here you can see at the end we have added the image, and the data we have set is the file reference. Now we need to store the data. And actually we need to set the dialog false at the end. So that's it. Here we are uploading the file, and then we are setting the data that we want to store into the firestore, and then we are going to store the data into the firestore, reset the form, stop the loading, and finally we are going to close the dialog. And here at the top, you can see our dialog box is persistent. That means clicking outside will not close the dialog. So in order to close it, we must create a button or link to close this dialog box. So here, let's add vCard actions. And inside that actions, we have a spacer and then a button. That button will set the dialog to false. Now let's save this. And now in order to make it work, we need to call it from the dashboard. That means we need to import it first. Now let's save this and give it a try. Here we are getting an error, and that is saying that missing catch or finally clause. Let's get back to the editor, and here inside the store game method, we have not added the catch block. Now let's save this and get back. The issue is fixed now. Now let's try to log in. And here we are getting the add new game button. Let's check the developer console whether we are getting any errors. And now let's click on add a game. And here we are getting our form. We need to fix the styling for the first input. The rest of the things looks fine. Let's try to add a game. Here I have added some data. Now let's click on Store. And hopefully there is no error. Let's check it from the firestore. So here in the games, our game data is stored, and you can see the image value here. And if you visit the storage, you should see the file uploaded by the user. Uploads, games, and here is the file uploaded by the user. Here I have added some data. Now let's click on Store. And hopefully there is no error. Let's check it from the firestore. So here in the games, our game data is stored, and you can see the image value here. And if you visit the storage, you should see the file uploaded by the user. Uploads, games, and here is the file uploaded by the user. So this is the way to create a new game from the front end by using VueJS and Firebase. In the next lesson, we are going to fetch the user uploaded content here in the dashboard.